And milestones, keeping projects on track with Gitlab. Presented by me. My name is Albert Hughes. I'm currently a technical project manager at Lullabot, where I'm managing a large-scale Drupal project with multiple front-end developers, multiple back-end developers, both internal and external with our client. I've been doing project management and working with the web about 15 years. I started in the mid-90s. I started learning about, mid-90s I learned about the internet through AOL, AOL 2.0, started learning that. By 2000, I had taught myself HTML, built my first website. And then in 2006 or 7, I started to learn about CMS systems, learned about WordPress, got into Drupal 2007, 2008, and then got my first professional job in the web in 2008 at a company called Schipul, where I'm my first foray into project management. Today, what I'm not doing is selling you on Gitlab. This session is not about why Gitlab is the best PM tool or anything like that. It's just really to kind of show some of my experience that I've had with Gitlab. We're going to talk about what Gitlab is, how it's different from some of the other project management tools you may be familiar with or used on projects. We'll talk about some of the features and functionality of Gitlab, and we'll get familiar with it, and then we'll look at some real-world use cases. I'll talk about how I'm using it, how some people out in the world are using it, and we'll go from there. This is my first time doing this particular session, so feel free if you have questions. It's not super formal. If you want me to stop, slow down, ask a question, anything like that, feel free to do so. Gitlab. What is Gitlab? I had the same question. I actually started the project I'm on right now last July. And previously, before that, I'd been working at different jobs, and I know I was getting back into a full-time project manager role, and I was kind of gearing up to use like Jira possibly. And then on the first day of the project, the person over DevOps on our project said, "Hey, let's use Gitlab." So naturally, I had to find out what is Gitlab. If you go to Gitlab, about.gitlab.com, they tout themselves as the DevOps platform. What it is a platform that they say allows you to do the 10 steps in the development lifecycle, manage, which they're looking at from a high level of entire project programs, the planning piece, which is pretty much where I stay in the project management side. Creating is developing, verifying the information, packaging it up, getting it hosted, secured, releasing out software. The main thing I've seen with people who use Gitlab have been really like software packages, things that have continuous integration, continuous development, things where not just typical websites where I build the website, hand it off, and I'm done with it, but software. So a lot of companies use it. You can see here, again, that development life cycle. So a full DevOps platform that allows you to do everything in one interface: project management, code, deployment, security, that whole thing. Gitlab started in 2011 as an open source collaboration tool for programmers, and by 2021, they had an IPO and are now publicly traded on NASDAQ, which was very interesting to me. They have a free tier, so they have 3 tiers of pricing: free, premium, and ultimate. Which was the free tier you can get on as an individual, unlimited projects, unlimited repositories. The premium, a little bit more features, $19 per user per month, and then the ultimate, $99 per user per month. Many companies, they have 2 ways you can get Gitlab for SaaS, or you can self-manage your Gitlab instance. I'm using the Gitlab SaaS model. Different organizations and companies are using Gitlab. Goldman Sachs, Fanatics, Ticketmaster, they're using it to manage like the releases of their mobile apps. So a lot of mobile app development, continuous integration was a big seller for a lot of them. Drupal, when I read, going into more of a modern way to contribute code in one place, they moved over to Gitlab. So those are the companies that are using GitLab. How is GitLab different from some of the other project management tools that you may be familiar with or use? Right here, this is me at that first job I was telling you about, Schipul. We had in-house CMS, so it was pretty much waterfall style projects where there was set price, set features that they were going to have, and a set time. So at that time, my project management tools there, we had an in-house task management system, and then we really had a printed out checklist to say, did you go to the kickoff? Did the client pick a template? What did they check off the features that they want? Did they add content? Did we QA? Let's go live. And so a lot of the project management with that type of project was just a straight down checklist. Not a lot of collaboration was needed. So that tool kind of worked until we start trying to dip our toe into selling Drupal projects. And then we start doing more things where the actual scope wasn't as defined. So having a checklist didn't work very well. So I started hearing about different tools and hearing about Agile at this time and Kanban boards and different things to manage a more moving project. And that's when I started hearing about tools like, at the time, it was really Basecamp, Assembler, Unfuddle. And then, of course, as time went on, these type of tools we looked at GitHub, and then start getting introduced to the Atlassian suite with Jira and things of that nature. These were better for these type of projects. One way, the thing about with a GitHub, it was really focused on code from what I've seen. It didn't have the same tools for the project manager. I think now they've kind of caught up a little bit more. They have the GitLab issues. You can have set some of the similar things, lists, boards of your issues. So as a project manager, I can add tickets or have things that manage my project in a place like GitHub. One thing about, I think the biggest comparable to GitLab is probably the full Atlassian suite. So if you have Jira, Bitbucket, Confluence, but the issue with that, or the difference with GitLab, is even though they're in the same suite, they're still different platforms. So I've run into things where you have to worry about, do they have permissions in Jira and Bitbucket, or somebody tags something in Confluence and then you click a link and then you don't have permissions. So a difference with GitLab, it being one inclusive platform, you can set permissions for certain levels, and then they have access to the code repository, they have access to issues, they have access to the wiki, they have all of that in one place. You don't have to worry about different accounts, different licenses. It's all right there. So a lot of similarities, especially with Jira. I mean, a lot of the project management tools we use are very similar, but the key, I think, the difference from these are in one place. I also like Assembler seemed like they were a little bit more for, it's like one was a little bit outdated or a little bit more for security, so it was a little bit different from GitLab. Another place that I've in my career, I've worked in internal marketing departments a lot. And in these internal marketing departments, they usually have project management tools that are really optimized for marketing campaigns, or they're doing a social campaign or something that's bigger than the development project. So I'll run into issues where, hey, it's cool we get something in from the marketing department and we use a tool like Wrike or Asana or Trello to actually see the issues. But once we get into the development and I'm dealing with developers, we're typically jumping out of this and then managing things back in Jira or some other developer-focused tool. So some of the workflows in like a Wrike, I get a Wrike request, then I have to assign it to a developer in another platform, like in our in-house Jira. Then they do something in Bitbucket. They have a question, and I have to go back to the chain. And now I'm dealing with, as a project manager, 3 or 4 different softwares, 3 or 4 different communication streams that I have to consolidate. And with GitLab, I'm able to do all of that in one platform. So I don't need to sign out. I don't have to go over here and move this to another project. The value that I've seen in GitLab is everything is in that one place. And so, yeah, from Wrike, Asana, Trello, Monday.com, Podio. Again, especially Podio and Monday.com really to me was very focused on the marketing campaign versus if I'm doing let's say a web project for this marketing campaign, it's harder for me to manage that web project in the same tool that the campaign is being managed in. So those are some differences I've seen there. Again, let me get right here. This just shows you a map of GitLab, and basically what they're saying is all of those platforms you see down there, you can do in GitLab. And that's, to me, that's the biggest difference. Of course, it has some pros and cons. I think in GitHub, there was the ability to put all my list on a different style table. There was a few nuances that I'm like, okay, I like that. That's cool. But the thing I think sets GitLab apart is just that one platform. That was just a big piece. So going through, let's take a look at features and functionality for GitLab. Just talk about some terms real quick so that we can kind of level set as we go through the next slides. Groups in GitLab is like the high level of the organization. So if you create an account in your company, you structure everything under your groups, and then projects every project is basically representing a repository. So every code repository you have is a project, and then inside of that project you can have associated issues, all of the things related to that project. Issues are the base level, so anytime you have a request, a task, everything in GitLab starts with an issue, and then issues can also be promoted to an epic. And the epics are, and here's just a grouping of issues, so a way that you can group a bucket of issues. Maybe that's a feature, maybe that's a user story, but epics. And then milestones are a method in GitLab that allow you to time box issues. So some people use them for sprints. You can use it for an initiative, but start, end date, and then you can have issues associated under those milestones. Iterations, very similar to milestones, another way to time box work that you need to do. Labels, powerful feature in GitLab that allows you to label, create custom labels and categorize work. Boards, which allow you to, Kanban boards, Scrum boards, things that we've seen, and then roadmaps. So we'll take a look at that. Look at it again here. It's just a diagram of how it's broken down in GitLab. You have the group. Groups can also have subgroups, and then under a subgroup you can have projects. You can have a project associated directly with the group. Under projects you see the issues, and then users in GitLab are called members, and so with each issue you can assign a member to an issue. You can members can participate in the issue, and then members can comment on a particular issue. Taking a look at how the epic is broke down. Epics are at the group level. So a individual project, you can't have an epic for this project. The epic would be at the group level. And the reason being is because then you can have, if I'm an organization, I put out an epic, it may be across multiple projects. So this is an example where you could have one epic and then you have two issues from one project and an issue from another project all under that particular epic. Looking here, this is the group screen. So this is a organization I created called Houston Hoopers. You can see from a group screen, I get access to see my projects under this group. Then from the group, you can see all the issues within the group. Merge requests, that's a term in GitLab. You can see all the merge requests that are related to issues within this group. And then you can get your other security, packaging, hosting, and different settings for your group there. Looking at a project screen, so now from that group page, I drill down into my iOS app project. You'll have the code repository here, and then the thing I've used as a project manager, I can actually just make an edit from the project screen right here. Like say for instance, there's a menu link with a misspelling in it. I can go edit in the repository and then commit from there. It'll, do it. Basically, I can edit code from right here from the interface within Gitlab as a project manager. So sometimes I do that. But you can get different project information here, and then these are the issues related to this specific project. So again, you can see all the issues from the group screen, and then you can get to issues specific to this project here. I use the merge request. So one thing, and I didn't go into too detail in the merge request, but from an issue, and let me go over here. Look at it on the screen. May not be able to see, but from this issue, once you create an issue, you can create a merge request related to the issue. So I spend my time going back, looking at that, seeing what work's been done. On the regular issue, you have title. With Gitlab, they have a bunch of stuff like these templates that you can create right in the repository, where I could have like a description template, where I can put like a little skeleton of what every description should be, a title description and a title template and a description template. In the description, they have stuff where you can make these checklists, to-dos within your body. It's regular markdown. You can assign to people, add the epic, put what milestone, and add your labels all in there from the issues. All right, just taking a look at the epic. I use epics a lot too, but again, description, you can add all, like from here you can add issues. What I've seen in the current version we have, if I want a child epic under my epic, I need to make an issue under the epic and then promote that issue, and then it'll create the child epic. I know they have some, it's a tier thing. I think their highest tier, you can actually say plus and add an epic, but I think in the premium tier, you have to have the issue under the epic, then promote that issue in order for you to create a child epic. If that makes sense. So we do that. From here, you can also see like different information about your epic. We'll go look at that real quick. Again, I talked about time boxing, milestones. I use them heavy. Again, some people, I'll talk a little bit more, but some people use them for sprints. Some people use them for like, we're doing a fall initiative or some type of campaign, or maybe you're launching a specific product, or you're doing releases. That's where milestones come in. Milestones also have a milestone page where you can see all of the issues associated with that milestone, as well as a burn down and a burn up chart on the milestones page. Iterations is very similar. I'll talk some of the difference. Iterations in GitLab are very similar to milestones, except milestones track issues and merge requests for that particular those particular dates, where iterations you can only see issues. Taking a look at labels. Labels are powerful, so labels can be put on issues, merge requests, or epics. You can have scoped labels, or you can create regular labels at both the group and issue label. A nuance that I've seen a lot in GitLab, you can promote things from the project level to the group level. So if I created a label within one of my projects, if later I'm like, oh, that's a great label, but it should be also used for another project, I can promote the label, and now it'll be available for the entire group. So any projects under my group can inherit a particular label. Again, I can also assign if I wanted to be on issues or issues and merge requests. Once you have those labels, they allow you to actually customize your boards. So in the labels plus boards is where the power really comes in GitLab. So I can have multiple boards, as many as I want, actually, for issues or epics. And then for each list, I can use, I can scope that, I can filter that list by particular labels. So any of the custom labels I created, or some of the labels that they already have, like open or closed. And then I can filter those. I can filter by a person, a label, things of that nature. So it's boards, I spend a lot of time there. And then...
Do you find the labels get kind of overused?
You definitely want to have some type of, so at the beginning of the project, we try to have let's have a label meeting. Let's decide what labels we want to use at this time for the project. I think I've tried to keep them from being like everybody can just create a bunch of labels. So we tried to have some type of label structure in a sense so that they don't get overused, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because it seems like they could be labels for whether it's open or not, but it could also be, release the front end. Really.
Oh yeah, and I'm in 2 slides. We're gonna dive deeper. I'll tell you exactly how I'm using them.
Okay.
I'm like, one example while we're here is you can have labels like front end, back end, DevOps. These are the type of work. You can have a label that may be scope that says, like, I'm using some for, in our merge request, we have developer scope needs review, developer in review, QA needs QA, QA needs review. So we'll try to use for, like, in merge requests, like the status of the review on particular issues. I group them by the work. Maybe with QA also they have like scope bug tickets, so like bug, and then scoped what type of bug is it, accessibility, is it some type of thing. So we tried to have like a upfront discussion of like let's create this kind of some governance around our labels in a sense. They can't. I have, in just doing my research and looking across different projects, this board, right? The actual boards, too many labels can make these boards look a little bit busy for sure. So I've personally on my project not tried to I didn't go over. I tried not to go overboard with labels. I tried to keep it pretty simple.
Can they be here? Can you have like labels and sub-labels?
You can have labels and sub-labels, but it's really, you would do that as a scoped label, similar to you would do them like this. So you would have a scope of like, this is CStat priority, and then priority 1, 2, 3. So you could scope them with 2 columns. It's just, 2 colons whenever you create them. But that's what I would think would be like a label, sub-label, and then you can have priority on them as well of how they show up in order. But I wouldn't, instead of sub-label, I would do scoped label. I would do scoped label, if that makes sense. Another feature I've used pretty heavy is roadmaps. So out of the box, here are epics that were created. This timeline there are the phases. So phases and epics aren't related until you get to roadmaps where you can see it. So basically saying, these are all the epics I have. This is the timeline on those epics, and then this is where they meet within that particular phase. So from here, these are all my epics. We're going to be doing this epic between these 2 releases. Same thing here. This particular epic over 2 releases. And then so you can get dates, what phase is going to be in, and then also see the epics in one screen. I use this as a PM in talking to my use case is like, after my first SOW, the next SOW was coming up, like we was creating a scope of work. So our business development, they wanted to, hey, what kind of work do you see coming up? They were going to take what I said and create this, but I was like, if I put all the features from that SOW that we want to do in the next scope of work, if I put all the features, put some dates, basically I could create a Gantt chart for him that he can use in the scope of work. Right out of here, and then I already have the work in the system planned out. So once they sign the SOW, I just come back here and I already have all the features that we outlined in the SOW already in the system, and then it can work through. If that makes sense. So diving in a tad bit more about the about use cases and examples. I'll talk a little bit about the project I'm on. So what we're doing is we're using D9 to build a platform. So we're building almost like this is the use case. So a platform where this organization can spin off basically clone sites that can be modified and customized for their members. So they have a current platform right now built in Drupal 7. So we're rebuilding that platform, but then that platform will be so they can use that platform to spin up new sites that have this core set of features that can then be customized. So we're building, it's more like software that we're building, so they will continue. I think even regular websites now today are becoming more of like, there's not just this, I built this site and then we wait 5 years until it want to rebrand and then we come back. I think everything is continuous now, whether it's updates, whether it's like software updates, whatever it is, it's continuous. So in my situation, from as a comparable, the organization name in GitLab, because this is the organization we're working with, it's their first time in the GitLab as well. The organization name is the client name, and then we have really 3 projects that we have under our account right now. Is the actual platform that we're building. Then we have static, like a static site where we're building help docs, and then we have like a D9, what they're calling a marketing library. So we have 3 projects, 3 code repositories that we're working on that are all in the project level of our GitLab. Then for issues, I'm using any ideas that come up. If there's a meeting and there's like a feature that just gets brought up in one of our demo calls or something, I'll add it as an issue. Sometimes instead of even writing a note to say, I'll just create the issue right there, because I know I could come back. We can start adding. We can collaborate within GitLab for anything that comes up. And then later, if we decide that becomes big and we want to promote that to an epic, we could do that. If we want to break it up, we can do that as well. But I'll use that, our QA, any bugs they find, anything like that, I start off with the issue level. And then epics, again, we were unique in our project where we did a full, a really big discovery before the project kicked off that basically drew out, like, if we replicated your system, it'll be about a year's worth of work. And then so we kind of came into it where it's like we have an outline, but we don't know exactly how we want to do exactly what we're going to do. But I started off, and I've continued of taking those epics or taking those features that we know we want to build from this platform, creating epics, and then was able to do some project planning using those roadmaps to kind of look at what it would look like for a year. So that's helped me out a lot. And then I'm using Milestones since our SOWs are quarterly. I broke up the SOW into basically 3 phases apiece. So a month, a phase, or 4 weeks, I'm treating as a phase. So I'm using Milestones to represent basically every 4 weeks. And so I'll set my that phase, the goals at the milestone level. So what I'll do on the milestone page is I will literally put, like, here are our goals for the milestone, and then you could see all of the issues associated with that milestone. So we'll always come back to that weekly, like, hey, we're in phase 8 right now. Remember, in phase 8, we're focused on the admin dashboard, admin improvements, and shipping and payment integrations. That's our phase 8 goals and so from knowing that's the phase 8 goals, which is a milestone, then I'll use iterations, which is similar to basically group my weekly stuff. So we know we have 4 weeks, so pretty much every phase is also going to have 4 iterations. And then in those iterations, same thing. What's our goals for this week? Put them on the iteration page. We can track all the issues from right there. So during stand-ups or any meetings, I'll just go back to my iterations page to see, hey, what are we at this week? And then labels. I'm using labels for work types. Again, the front end, back end, DevOps, design, and then MR review statuses are like QA in review. QA needs review, QA in review, developer in needs review, that type of thing for all of my merge requests. And then I even use the labels to group the epic types with, like, this is the type of feature. So there's certain things from that discovery that talked about administration, like admin, different features. I basically put a label on those epics so I can easily get to the epics that are in those even bigger groups of work. And then also I tag those with which SOW they belong to. So then with those labels, I can use the boards to kind of use my daily work. So if I want to look at planning with business development or account manager, I can go to my Epic page and then like see which, create a board that has HSOW as a list, and then basically you can get an outlook of these are SOW, these are all the epics that we want to do in the next SOW, these in the following. So I can get with the client as well for prioritization there. And then daily, one thing I did for issues is you can set up a board with all your team members. So of course, team board, I have front end, so then boards per group. So the front end board, back end board, our team board. So if I meet with somebody individually, I could go to the team board, filter by their name, and we could just prioritize their orders. Their issues. If I meet with the front end developers, I can just go to my front end board and we can collaborate and basically prioritize everything there. Same way. So boards are pretty powerful. And then again, I use roadmaps to help out with biz dev and things like that. Cool. Any questions or thoughts or discussion from that? Does that make sense? Is it in the project management tools? If I can ask, what are you all using right now? If anybody wants to give some insight on what y'all are using.
We use Smartsheets.
Okay, I'm familiar.
Because we have a lot of projects that are not Drupal based, not web based at all.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody has to be able to see statuses, especially stakeholders.
What do you think from Gitlab? Do you see anything from here that would be applicable to the type of projects you're working on, or would you say from just your side, if it's not software, it doesn't matter? Like,
well, if it's not software, you can't really use Gitlab because, well, you can, I guess, but it would be redesigning the wheel, and every project manager is also using Smartsheets throughout a company.
Yeah.
They can all see what everybody's doing. You can set up dashboards, which are very similar to either Kanban boards and the labels, basically they're headings.
Mm-hmm. Biggest thing for me, my philosophy in project management is the best tool is the best tool for the project.
Whatever tool is, you can keep track of what's going on and understand.
Yeah, I think it's always important. It's really important that I've seen to like, a tool that fits, right? Like if it doesn't fit, I'm not trying to fit. GitLab fit for this I think this project has stayed on track, and GitLab has helped it stay on track, mainly because we've had about 3 front end, 3 or so back end developers. We had designers, we had an architect, we had a DevOps person, we have a couple developers from the client side, we have their product manager. So we have multiple people that want visibility, that need to contribute. And then we're building a software that needs to continuously be developed on, and it needs to be secure. And they're doing deployments. I think when you have something like that, I think GitLab can be a great fit.
Oh yeah, one special, but
yeah, I
you've
think
got projects that are not code based.
Then I don't know. What are y'all using on y'all's project?
I have actually one that I'm doing by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I set it up in Airtable
Okay.
because the project's only HTML and CSS and JavaScript,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not Drupal at all. And so I just decided to set it up in Airtable, and it has the campaign and everything.
Yeah.
But I didn't. This would be great for doing like a larger project that because they didn't use Git or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this would be really great for projects. I really like it a lot.
Makes sense. Any other tools over here or examples? Jira. What are some things that maybe you saw here that like, that does better than anything you've done in Jira, or any points from that?
Without getting into the rant that I have about Jira. So the biggest thing that I've been seeing is that the labels here kind of replace a lot of the Jira boards and phases that they've set up. They can set up like workflows and whatnot, so you can only move from like in progress to in review or back to needs work.
Makes sense. That's what I've seen some of that. Like in look, I feel like in Jira they've kind of this is what how you need to use it more than like, hey, we're gonna let you customize it how you
Yeah,
do it.
so definitely the judicious creation of the labels and managing of that is going to be like critical to having some success with GitLab. That's pretty clear. The thing that the project managers that I work with that are kind of like, I don't know if we want to go over to GitLab, is I think reporting is an issue that they have. So
I would say, to me, in GitLab, you get a fair amount of reporting out of the box. Again, I'm using that milestone page and the iterations page, where it's giving me a percentage of what's open, what's closed at any time I go there. On both, I have the burn down charts on both. So it's giving me a good high level. And give me 1 second, we'll look
adding
into
a lot of custom fields to our tickets as well.
Mm.
I mean, they've got some of the standard ones like points, and I don't know if this here really.
Yeah, weights. Yeah, they have weight in GitLab. That's similar, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of like.
I think it's like level of effort.
Yeah, we'll look. I think it's level of effort. It's like weight.
Okay.
How is GitLab as far as resource management?
Give me a example.
Well, in other words, your developer has an 8-hour workday,
Mm.
so you don't want to over allocate.
It does. One thing I've seen it do. Let me see if I can get out of this mode and actually get into GitLab real quick. Yeah,
You're talking story points?
Yeah.
definitely have the ability for story points. Let me just pull this, see if I can get
I like
from.
that everything's in one thing and not having to have, Jira and GitHub and all of those things. I just switch between
Right.
as a developer.
Let me see
Well,
if I can
maybe
drag.
if you have to crash your resources or if you're going to hit your milestone, all of that.
Yeah, because one thing that they'll do, like if a person has a bunch of assigned, we'll get into the weights and get into that. But too, like say for instance, somebody does have a lot of work, like it'll put a little thing, like when you try to assign, it'll be like this person's busy, or they'll have little indicators that say they have too much work. But you can look at.
Yeah, no mind will tell me that somebody's over allocated, but at the same time, we only got 3 people working.
So what can
It
I
doesn't
do?
matter how allocated they are, we still have to get it done. They won't give me anybody else, they won't give me more budget.
Let me look. Let's look at an issue real quick.
And what does GitLab do as far as if you have to change the date?
Like the start, end date, due dates.
Yeah, in
things of
other
that.
words, you have your milestone, but it's just not going to happen, so they're pushing the milestone out.
Yeah. So you can't say, like I don't think there's any guideline from a project management standpoint where it says I can't move them. It'll shift everything accordingly, but it won't change. And an epic can be driven by did I move this? Oh, hold on. I lost my screen. Sorry about that. I don't want to do that. Sorry about that. I got stuck. I just got between mirroring and project mode. I can't get back. I don't know. I got somehow I got thrown off. Sorry about that. Let me see if I get there.
Sorry, I didn't worry.
No worries. That was on me. Where am I at? Groups. Let me see if I can get this Yeah, look over here real quick too. This is my test one. I didn't know. we're in the middle of our project, so I wanted to show mine, but I'm like, I don't know. They kind of a little bit like a little fun. Other thing that's really cool in there is like the ability to tag. You can put like whatever pound and whatever that particular issue is. You can easily tag issues, merge requests, epics, people, and group those together. You can add from an issue if there's another issue that's blocking it, if it's another issue related to it.
So you do dependencies in it?
Say that one more time.
You can do dependencies?
Like, you can say, like, yes. Yeah, you can say this issue is dependent on this other issue being completed. They have little things in the merge request that you can put, like, this closes pound 222, and then after that's merged, it'll close the issue by itself.
Can you close multiple tickets with a single merge request?
You can close, if you put closes pound ticket 1, pound 3, it'll close both of them.
Sweet.
And you do Gantt charts with it and Kanban?
Yep, Gantt charts, Kanban. I'm gonna make one issue and then we'll try to see if I can get one up real quick.
Does it do dashboards?
Like your own like your own dashboard. Yeah. I think my own dashboard is really like a board, just like a regular board. I don't think you can have a like customized dashboard to show
the dashboards, especially for the stakeholders, so they can look at a glance, see what the health of the project is, what's on hold.
Another place I can look real quick is let me go up a level to see if I can just get to Gitlab.
Because I found stakeholders don't care about the nitty-gritty, they just want to see.
That's all they want to see is that.
Exactly.
I'm trying to see if I can look at another.
What's holding it up?
Look at somebody else's project and see if they have anything that would be of interest. Anyone else, any questions or something specific that anybody wanted me to pull up or just ask about or talk through? I'm getting close, right?
Are you basically done and we're just asking questions now?
Yeah, if you have questions, yeah, for sure.
How do you show barriers?
Give me an example.
Something that's stopping a project, or I know you have issues, but which I assume are the same as tasks.
Like a blocker?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What I've done in my board, I've actually, we had a label blocked, and then in our board, we'd have like a block column. So you could easily move that. And then if there's an issue, like if there's a dependency, the issue will show up with a red mark, like this issue is being blocked by this other issue.
Like
so
for us, a lot of the stuff is blocked by supply chain.
It makes sense.
You get the parts you need during this time.
Yeah, for me in project management, if I came up with if something was a blocker like that, there would be an issue that I would create to unblock it. And then that issue basically would be blocking any other issue. Like I would document supply chain is blocking as an issue that I know somebody could work on, and then any supply chain related issues would have blocked by supply chain. And so that if there was any more details of when supply chain was going to be unblocked or anything like that, we'd have a place to document that. So if I get an issue and then I see it's blocked by supply chain, I can easily click back, go to that supply chain issue, and get any of the details, like the latest updates on when that may become unblocked, right?
Okay.
That's kind of how I've been managing those. Anything from this side? Did anybody get anything from this? Did this make sense?
It's really good.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I like it a lot.
Cool. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
You got something?
Iteration reports?
Yes. Let me see if I can pull up my real quick while we out. I'm just going to give a quick glance. I'm just gonna log into my just to see, like, because I don't think I'm recording anymore.